Good morning and welcome to Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Today's headlines. The Justice Department leads a strengthening of case buildup on environmental crimes by including violation of penal laws. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla says these include the revised Forestry Code, Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, and the expanded National Integrated Protected Area System Act of 2018, among others. Remulla issued Department Circular Number 020B last September following successful implementation of DC Number 020 issued in March, mandating all prosecutors to take an active role in the investigation of heinous crimes and other capital offenses punishable by life imprisonment. News abroad. Heavy rains in Brazil leave 8 people dead in Brazil. More on our global weather. Northern lights dazzle night skies in some parts of the United States and the United Kingdom. And here at home, space enthusiasts shared their photos of Comet Cignal at last visible this month. Let's take a look at today's forecast and the local weather. Pag-asa says 2 weather systems are affecting the country currently. One is a shear line, formerly known as the tail end of a cold front that affects extreme northern Luzon. And the second one is the easterlies affecting the eastern section of Luzon. As you can see here, here's the shear line, as we mentioned, affecting the extreme northern part of Luzon and the easterlies, bringing in a bit cold winds here in the eastern part of Luzon. Now, the shear line is the point where warm air and cold air meet. Now, this weather system will bring cloudy skies and isolated rain showers and thunderstorms over Batanes. Shear line causes long periods of rain, although not always continuous, but it is repetitive. Now, for those who are in Batanes, please be reminded that these rains can result in a high risk of flooding and landslides in your area. Now, due to the easterlies, as we mentioned here a while ago, cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms are also expected in Cagayan, Isabela, Aurora, and Quezon. Now, residents in these areas must watch out for possible flash floods or landslides due to moderate to at times heavy rains. Now, over in the Bicol region and the Cagayan Valley and the partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms will prevail. Over in Metro Manila, though, and the rest of the country, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers are expected, as well as localized thunderstorms as well. Let's take a look at our sea conditions. There is still no gale warning in effect, allowing for seafarers to venture out safely. Now, for those who are in coastal waters of Luzon and Visayas, the wind direction is coming from the northeast to east, while those over in Mindanao can expect winds coming from the east as well. So let me just move on over to the side here, just to show that a bit here. So northeast to east, coming in the northern part of the Philippines, and of course down here south, weather coming to the east, as the colors indicate here, a bit cooler coming in from the northeast to east, and down in Mindanao, the weather a bit warmer there, at least the winds being a bit warmer. Now, light to moderate sea conditions are expected for the whole country, but always take precautionary measures as weather conditions can change unexpectedly. Stay safe and enjoy your time on the water. Let's check out the weather conditions over in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Let's start with Luzon. Now, due to the easterlies, the western part of the region will experience rain showers. Cloudy skies with rain showers and thunderstorms are expected over in Tuguegarao, as you can see here in Cagayan. Now, in Legazpi City, right down there, let me move over to the side. In Albay, partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers with a high chance of thunderstorms are expected. Now, for the rest of Luzon, particularly Lawag, Baguio, Olongapo, Metro Manila, and of course, Puerto Princesa, down over there, partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are also expected. It means some sunshine may still be visible, but clouds are present, but intermittent periods of rain can vary in intensity from drizzles to heavier downpours. Now, let's go on over to Visayas, Bacolod, Iloilo, Metro Cebu, and Tacloban. Generally, fair weather conditions are expected. 10 to 30% chance of rain is forecast in Bacolod, Iloilo, Metro Cebu, while 60% chance of rain in Tacloban is expected due to localized thunderstorms. As you can see here, similar weather conditions though when you take a look at the entire region, but Tacloban having the only area with a 60% chance of rain. Going down south to Mindanao, Cagayan de Oro, Metro Davao, and Zamboanga, let's zoom in on those places, may enjoy the good weather but always be ready for any shifts. Remember, keep an eye on local weather forecasts. It's always smart, as conditions can change, as you can see here. 32 degrees around Cagayan de Oro and Zamboanga being the high here, but over in Metro Davao, a bit hotter, just by 1 degree. But generally speaking, fair weather expected in Mindanao. Now, happy Monday, everyone. Will the weather be favorable for the rest of the work week, or at least the start of the work week? Here's the 3-day weather forecast coming from Pag-asa. Over here in Metro Manila. Now, I'm wearing a cardigan right now because it's a bit cool outside, but then, of course, it could change from time to time. Generally, fair weather conditions are expected in the next 3 days, with temperatures rising up to 32 degrees Celsius. The warm and moist air can fuel thunderstorms, leading to more frequent or intense rain showers. Thunderstorms in such conditions can be strong, with the potential for heavy rain. As you can see, weather not expected to change on Tuesday all the way up to Thursday, so do watch out for all of that. Going down to Metro Cebu now, the same weather conditions are expected in Cebu for the next 3 days. Now, aside from hydrating yourself, always prepare for sudden changes in the weather, because remember that instability in the atmosphere can trigger thunderstorms amid warm temperatures. As you can see here, almost same as Metro Manila, Metro Cebu feeling the exact same effects in the region all up until Thursday. Moving down to Davao, a bit hotter here. Hot weather conditions are expected in Metro Davao in the next 3 days, with temperatures at 34 degrees Celsius being the high, especially on Wednesday and on Thursday. Now, it's important to stay hydrated and take precaution to avoid any heat-related illnesses or issues, more so if you are engaging in outdoor activities. As you can see here, Wednesday and Thursday might be a bit hotter compared to what we're experiencing on Tuesday, so do watch out for that, especially if you're in the area. Stay hydrated and stay safe. The country is hosting the Asia-Pacific Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction. We'll speak with Science and Technology Secretary Renato Solidum after the break. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel. Welcome back. You're still watching Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Yesterday, the world marked the International Day of Disaster Risk Reduction. Today, the country is hosting the week-long 10th session of the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction at the Philippine International Convention Center. Now, to tell us more about it, we have on the phone Department of Science and Technology Secretary Renato Solidum. Good morning, Sec. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Paolo.
Secretary, tell us a bit more about this conference, sino po ang mga participants, and of course, what is the overall goal of this conference?
Yes, the Asia-Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Reduction is a regional conference after the Global Platform on Disaster Risk Reduction. Essentially, ministers, heads of organizations, non-government organizations, the private industry, and disaster risk reduction advocates will be attending the conference. Around at least 68 nations will be participating. It's not only the Asia Pacific, but there will be participants from other countries like the European Union, and more than 4,500 registered. Essentially, this will review the overall efforts done by each country according to the Sendai Framework on Disaster Risk Reduction, which started 2015 up to 2030, and then look into the possible innovations and science, technology, and innovation that might help us further reduce the impact of natural hazards and climate change, and commit for certain actionable items so that we can further improve on our effort to reduce the impacts of natural hazards and climate change.
Secretary, it's obvious that the DOST will play a big role with regards to how we here in the Philippines do react to disasters. Anong mga priorities po ninyo with regards to this particular task?
Well, in essence, the Department of Science and Technology have been developing and applying innovative solutions or applying existing solutions, even from other countries, to improve our forecasting on weather, on geophysical events like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and tsunami. But more so, we need to look into the projections of climate change so that we can proactively prepare for this global threat. Second, we have been producing applications so that people will understand the localized threat. The focus of this conference is to look at the localization of efforts at the community level, and the
Yeah.
Philippines is one of the leading countries there, and make sure that people understand not only the phenomenon, but also what they need to do. But at the national level and local level, we need to look at the governance issue where financing must also be considered because many efforts need some funding so that we need to look into the private sector as well.
Yeah. Secretary, you did mention funding. The DOST in particular does fund a multi-agency initiative called GeoRisk Philippines. Can you tell us a bit more about yung initiative na to, and of course, give us a bit of an update on its implementation so far?
Yes, the GeoRisk Philippines was conceptualized way back in 2018 when I was still the head of the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology. And this was funded by DOST. And essentially, this created a governance and information communication technology platform where hazards information from mandated government organization are shared and collated with specific standards and coding system so that everything will be interoperable. Second, other agencies that have their own data sets, like DepEd, DOH, would now share all the data that they have so that we can assess the risk of these critical facilities. We have developed 4 applications by now. The first is the Hazard Hunter, where one can actually assess the hazard in less than a minute for any point in the Philippines. And we have a Hazard Hunter Pro where you can actually, per batch, include 100 points and everything can be assessed, all those 100 points in 1 minute. The second is Geoanalytic PH, where one can visualize the exposure to hazards per land area
Yeah.
of people by sex, by age. The third is the GeoMapper, where one can collect all the data that are needed. And most importantly now, we have developed the only automated planning so far in the world, the Plan Smart Ready to Rebuild. And these would hasten the creation of recovery plans for local governments that have been affected by disasters.
Well, Secretary, it's obvious we're seeing the technology being a part of the information dissemination, information gathering. But then when in regards to disaster preparedness and actual resilience, especially with regards to climate change and climate-related incidents that the country has been experiencing, how would you rate yung country po natin in terms of preparedness, in terms of, we always use the term resilience, but then how would you rate the country's ability to cope with all of these events?
Well, if you look at the recent global World Risk Index, we're number 1. And so, and the reason why we're number 1 is despite the fact that we have improved on science, the vulnerability is still very high simply because people are still staying in identified hazard areas. We haven't enacted the National Land Use Act, which would actually define where people can stay and not stay. Second, we need to also increase the capability of people, especially structures, so that they can withstand strong earthquakes and typhoons. So all of these need to be focused now on the vulnerability side, where people need to be encouraged to really prepare as an individual, as a family, and as a community. But in essence, when it comes to climate change, these must be approached through a sectoral campaign where we need to focus on agriculture, health, water supply, and of course the livelihood that will be affected by climate change.
Secretary, if we could have you a bit longer, we could tape a podcast episode, but unfortunately, we are running out of time. We really appreciate you for coming on the show. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you very
sir.
much.
All right, that was the DOST Secretary Renato Solidum. We'd like to remind the public that classes and work in government offices are suspended today and tomorrow in Manila and Pasay City. And permit to carry firearms is suspended in Metro Manila as part of the security measures for the event. Coming up, netizens share photos of this year's visible comet, the Cignal Ch Atlas, visible this month. Stay tuned. You're watching Weather HQ. Welcome back, this is Weather HQ. Let's take a look at the global news. According to the National Institute of Meteorology, central and southeastern Brazil experienced gusty winds reaching 100 kilometers per hour and heavy rains since Friday, following a severe drought that fueled a record wave of wildfires. Authorities said on Saturday that at least 8 people were reported dead after these heavy rains. The state civil defense reported that in Sao Paulo, 7 people died due to falling trees and walls toppled by violent winds and rains. Power company workers removed branches of fallen trees as restaurants and stores remained open without electricity. In the capital, Brasilia, the local command said 1 soldier was killed and another injured after a tree fell while they were removing a flag in front of the military police headquarters. Many welcomed the downpours as a relief in Brasilia after a record of more than 165 days without rain. According to experts, Brazil experienced its worst drought since records began, which is linked to climate change. Still nighttime in Brazil at the moment, and they are currently experiencing cloudy skies with isolated rain showers. Temperature is at 25 degrees Celsius. Now, after suffering from severe drought, good news because these rains will continue up until Thursday. As you can see here, as I moved over to the side, the rain coming in as a good respite, especially after the record drought happening in Brazil. Temperatures will rise to around 27 degrees Celsius and 18 degrees Celsius will be the low. Now, to all our kababayans there, make sure to take precautionary measures because these rains may cause flash floods. The northern lights will dazzle night skies in some parts of the US and the UK. Many were able to see the picturesque phenomenon and posted stunning photos and videos on social media. The northern lights, or aurora borealis, occur when charged particles from the sun collide with atoms in Earth's atmosphere. The best time to see the northern lights is during the winter months when the night skies are longest and skies are darkest, typically from September to April. These displays are most commonly seen in high-latitude regions around the Arctic and Antarctic, particularly in places like Norway, Sweden, Finland, Canada, and Alaska. Now, are you wondering why there are red lights in these videos? It's because the colors of the northern lights include red and green, depend on the type of gas particles involved and their altitude in the atmosphere. Green as the main color occurs when energetic electrons collide with oxygen molecules above 100 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Now, the red one is the less common color that appears at higher altitudes above 200 kilometers and is also produced by oxygen, but through different processes. It can also occur when there are very strong solar storms. Whatever the color, clear, dark skies away from city lights will enhance your viewing experience. I learned a lot there. I hope you did too. Back here at home, space enthusiasts are treated with the celestial activity beginning last night until end of this month, as Comet of the Year, Cignal Ch Atlas, will be visible in different parts of the country, or rather is visible. Let's take a look at this. Earthshaker, an organization promoting appreciation of Earth science, gathered photos shared by netizens who were lucky to see the comet. Some of those photos came from Francis Patiag of Macabebe, Pampanga, Billy Agatep of Bignay, Valenzuela City, Alvin Maron of Bocaue, Bulacan, Jack Oreno of Caloocan City, and Pierre Sebastian of Hagonoy, Bulacan. And that's it for Weather HQ for today. Join me again tomorrow, whatever the weather. Oh my goodness. Here on BNC, I'm Paolo del Rosario. This is the Billionaire News Channel.